All right, welcome everyone. This is Our Travel Experiences. I'm Kyle Rasmussen, and today I got with me a good friend, Tommy. Tommy, how are you today?
Hi, not too bad. How about yourself?
Doing all right, doing all right. Like we were just talking about before we jumped on here, it's a beautiful day out where I am, so I can't complain.
Rub it in. We got a beautiful 50 degrees and rain in New York, which is just my cup of tea.
Hey, it could be worse. Could have like 3 feet of snow right now.
Oh my God, that's true. You put stuff in perspective, so that's good.
Well, I'm super excited to learn about some of your travel experiences today. We met through the trip to Colombia that just recently happened, which was a ton of fun. So I'm kind of interested to get your take on that trip. And then one of the cool things that I got from the trip was that everybody in the group was pretty well experienced with travel. And so I know you've traveled a lot, so I'm curious to kind of hear about some of your other stories as well.
Yeah, no, Colombia was actually my 32nd country.
30 second, wow.
Yeah, number 32. I'm trying to keep the number of countries above my age. So I'm 30. So I'm just gonna keep that number higher than my age and just keep it in the distant future and stuff like that. But yeah, like it was country number 32. It wasn't originally part of my plan because I originally booked the trip, I want to say back in January, like 6 weeks
Okay.
before we went. But I was always eyeing, FTLO. I thought I always had like a good program, a good mix of culture, beach, like city life, all that stuff kind of combined into one, which I really liked. And I liked it, just felt more like, I don't want to say like intimate, but it just felt more like authentic. There you go. That's the right word. I don't want to
Yeah,
say intimate.
yeah,
It felt more
yeah.
authentic and stuff. So yeah, that's how I was like, you know what? I originally was supposed to go to Dominican Republic with my family, and we
Hmm.
canceled because of the COVID, obviously. We weren't sure where it's going to end up or whatnot, so we're just like, you know what, let's do. I was like, I'm still going to go somewhere, so I was looking around and I was like, I've always been eyeing FTLO for a few years, and I was like, maybe it's time to do this Colombia trip. So I was just like, I decided within like a day, I was like, all right, here you go, take my money.
Yeah.
And it was a very, very good decision, and I'm so happy I ended up going for. I met I met other great people, got to really embrace Colombian culture in every fashion.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been getting this question a lot lately since I've been back, but what do you think your favorite part of the trip was?
I liked Comuna Trece, like probably that was one of my favorites.
Hmm.
Just like seeing, I feel like that part and seeing like the transformation it's been through from like you know 30, 40 years ago being probably one of the most dangerous places in the world to like being such a place full of culture and music, and just the transformation it went through. Like, the art was amazing, the music was, so cool. It's just so cool to see and stuff, and I think I was just
Hmm.
always um just amazed to see how that transformed. And then I mean, outside of that, I actually did enjoy the moments where we were just more or less like together as a group and stuff, like the salsa class and like that rum tasting. I felt like that was like I feel like a big game changer for our group. I just feel like everyone's got to like, their walls kind of came down. Everyone was able to loosen up. I mean, the rum helps, mojitos help.
Sure.
So I just thought it was a good vibe. And yeah, you got to just learn a little bit more about some other side of Colombia, from more of the art side and the food aspect of things.
Hmm. Yeah, I really thought it was a good mixture of, maybe doing some of the more touristy things and then really getting immersed in the culture and then having a balance between, really authentic food and drinks and then all the artsy stuff as well. I really thought it was a good mix of things on the itinerary.
Yeah, no, I think it's all about the mix and stuff. Because like, listen, I could sit on a beach all day, but then that's gonna get boring. But then I can also do like sightseeing all day, and that kind of might get boring too. So I feel like it gives you that good mix of a little bit of everything, because Colombia certainly has a lot to offer. Like going from Cartagena, which was this beach town, which with obviously a lot of culture, giving you a lot of those like Spanish vibes, and you go to Medellin, and then it's like, wow, you're in the city, and like the area that we were specifically in, El Poblado, right, was just like, I was like looking at it, and I keep telling everybody here, it's like Williamsburg in the jungle, with a little bit of bouginess, which I ain't complaining about that. I love me some bouginess. But it was just like definitely like a good vibe and everything like that. I just love that. It was a very perfect mix.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it really shocked me. I mean, going into that trip, I really didn't know much about Colombia. I didn't expect all of the diversity in terms of, like Cartagena was completely different from Medellin. So, um, again, it was a nice mix of kind of both worlds, in my opinion.
No, 100%. I totally agree. I'm happy we went through with it, and like it was, at first you're like, oh my God, how's it gonna be like? And it was really like a good experience overall and stuff. And I got to see, it definitely makes me want to go back again and see more. I think there's still other places to see. So it's definitely, if you guys are, if anybody listening, put it on your list. I don't know where, but just put on your list soon. And I don't think you'll regret it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. 100% agree. And you brought up sitting on a beach, which we did a little bit of that.
It was more on a boat,
Anyway,
but
yeah, it was a boat, but still, we were out in the Caribbean sun, and I was just thinking of all of our beautiful sunburns that we had for a
oh
couple of days.
God, I got the first day, geez, and like that. I think I got like a sunburn on top of the sunburn, and like it did not look flattering in photos and stuff. But it was nice once it kind of came over to like a nice little glow. I'm still kind of peeling a little bit more on my forearms. I'm just like looking at them right now, but it was worth the pain to experience all of that. What is it? There's not a saying or whatever. There's no like there's beauty, there's pain and beauty or something like that. I don't know. But
Uh,
it was totally worth it.
yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. I liked hanging out on the boat, except for the boat ride back. That was rough.
I mean, yeah, did I think I was gonna die? Absolutely. I mean, there were times I just remember looking like I think always to my left and like Logan just getting like drenched in water. It's like the poor girl, Akashi asking if we could stop the boat to pee.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like we're battling like 10 to 50-foot waves. It
Hmm.
was a remarkable experience, to say the least.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Well, we all made it, and we're here to tell a tale. So, guess it worked
Absolutely.
out.
There's a good story about it. Now I could laugh at it. Like in the moment I
Yeah.
couldn't laugh at it, but now I could laugh at it.
Um, well, thinking about FTLO, I guess how did you originally come across FTLO in the Columbia trip?
I feel like I remember always looking like I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe like pre-pandemic. Like I was always like, so I always get with work, I get the time off between Christmas and New Year's. So I have like a solid like 8 to like 10 days of like free time off. And I'm like, do I want to sit here and like be on my couch like for those 10 days? I was like, I should like utilize this. And like all the years that I've had that time off, I've never utilized it. So that's when I started really looking for like a travel group, and I wanted to find like good timing, you want to find the perfect amount of time, you want to find a good itinerary. Like I was
Hmm.
going through like the Kentuckys of the world, and like there's obviously a bunch of other ones, but then FTLO just kind of like stuck out to me a little bit more. And like if it wasn't for like money, I probably would have done it 2 or 3 years ago and just ripped off the band-aid or something.
Yeah.
But it was always just like, there's always the money aspect of things that could make it a little bit trickier.
Hmm.
So whatchamacallit. So and I just remember it's just always like I remember afterwards I think I probably followed them on Instagram. I was like, don't forget these people and like just hold on to them and see what happens and stuff. And then like here we are, maybe 2 or 3 years later, I finally did my first trip.
Yeah, nice. And now having done one, would you do another one?
Yeah, I would definitely do another one. It's this day and age, I feel like it's always hard to get like sometimes your friends on the same like page to like go on a trip, or everyone's at different aspects of their lives. Like all of my friends are now like married, so it's like okay, all of you
Hmm.
are just gonna do your things on your own. You're gonna start your own family soon. But a part of me who is single and like not like and obviously lacking any other single friends to go on trips with, this was like a great opportunity just to kind of just do it. It was just like don't
Hmm.
think about it, and honestly like in midday like you're fine. Like you're gonna have a good time. Everyone warms up a little bit over time,
Yeah.
and you just yeah it's just like it's first of all it takes balls to even do that. Like what I'm saying, like I always feel like I commend, especially from like a girl. Like I don't mean it like in a bad way, but I always just feel like there's a sense of like, especially like traveling by yourself. Like I've traveled by myself. I've been fine. I've always wished I had company because it always makes it better. But I always commend a lot of
Hmm.
these girls doing it on their own because like not to say like listen, like obviously anything can happen to me being a man or whatever. But in the end, I always just think there's a little bit more for a girl, just to be a little bit more,
Yeah.
a little more like cautious and stuff like that. But in the day, like all the
Mhm.
girls on the trip, like listen, they've done it by themselves. They went with nobody, and I was like, I commend them. I was like, good for you. Like you're not letting any of those inhibitions like stop you from enjoying your life, enjoying traveling and stuff like that. And I mean, for anybody in
Mhm.
that case, but because I feel like we met a lot of girls who were just like, yeah, I'm just like traveling here by myself. I was like, good
Yeah.
for you. Like, good for you. Of the girls I know in New York would not do that. I know so many of them
Mhm.
that would be like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, maybe, but I was like, the rest of you, good job.
I agree. I know so many women and men too who wouldn't even think about, doing a trip on their own. That again, that was one of the fun things for me was just the group that we had because we all had that experience. We all had done a lot of solo travel. We had done, other trips, and I felt like it just made the group a lot better.
No,
Kind of
100%.
all being at the same like level, so to speak.
No, agreed. Everyone's kind of like been in the same boat on that, so they understand it. And like, there's some people on the trip I think who did already like group travel. They loved it, so this is like another edition of it that they love too. So,
Definitely. Yeah. So speaking of solo travel, what are some of the solo trips that you've taken?
hmm. Solo trips, I've done Scotland.
Okay.
Scotland was one. I'm like going back in my mind to like each of them, and I think another one was I kind of did like Thailand and Cambodia. Like I went for like a work purposes. Well, I put that in quotations. But I ended up traveling Thailand and Cambodia like at least for 1 week completely by myself. And then there was like one other one that I felt like I did, and like it's not coming to mind. Like I only really counted if it was like a really full trip. Like sometimes like I've been on a trip and like I met my friends there like a day earlier, so like that's had one day by myself. I don't
Yeah.
really count something like that. So I think those are like obviously nothing happened in 2020 really. I wouldn't count any of my times like in Croatia just because like that's a different story for me since I have family and stuff there. So I think
Hmm.
those were the only really two trips that I did. They were just like one was already like I think I did in 2014, and another one I did when I in like 2017. So I was like 5 years ago. So it's been a while.
Yeah. Okay. What did you like about those trips?
Um, I mean, obviously, when you're like traveling by yourself, I feel like you could just be like, listen, I'm gonna do me. I'm like, I don't gotta worry about anybody
Yeah.
else. Like, if I want to wake up at 10 and do a tour, great. If I want to wake up at 6 a.m. and do a tour, great. If I want to do this
Hmm.
tour on Tuesday and not Wednesday, great. You don't have to sit there and overcomplicate it with your friends, which sometimes gets really
Yep.
annoying because like one friend wants to
Yep.
do this, one friend wants to do that. And then it's just like, oh, for Christ's sake, like make up your mind. Like, so that's like
Hmm.
that's the one I would say over biggest thing about group travel. I mean, solo travel is like you don't have to worry about that stupid shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's got to be one of the best parts about it.
It's like probably one of the best parts where I'm saying like you're really in control, and you could, like I said, you dictate how you want it to be. You dictate if you want it to be all about art, or you want it to be all about beach, or you want it to be all about culture. So it's
Hmm.
really the ball's in your court.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. What were, I guess, some of your like negatives of solo travel?
I don't know. I think like the one thing, and I feel like this is just me being, I don't know, but like I remember like sometimes like sitting on a tour bus, and I was just like, or the hopeless romantic in me too. Just I would just look to
Yep.
my right or my left, where I see the empty seat, and I was like, man, like sometimes I wish I was just here with someone just like laugh or to talk to or something like that. I
Yeah.
think that's the one thing. As much as I've enjoyed like the solo travel opportunities, for me personally, like I always enjoy like the company of others and stuff. Like I'm an extroverted personality. I love being around people, so I do love that feeling of just like having somebody else. So yeah, like I would always look to my right and be like, man, like wish somebody was here right now. Whether it's
Yep.
anybody at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that and have felt that many times as well. But I think there's, I think there's like you said, there's beauty in the pain in kind of sensing that loneliness or whatever. I feel like it helps you learn more about yourself, maybe, and helps you grow as a person as well.
True. There's pros and cons to everything in the day. You know, there's good there's
Hmm.
I think, but to your point, yeah, you do learn a lot more about yourself, what you like, what you want out of life or something like that, what you want out of anything
Yeah.
at this point, you know. So it is definitely a good time to get to know yourself a little bit more.
Hmm. Yeah, I would say for me, solo travel has definitely provided the most like uh, introspective insight and for me. I've really learned about myself, and I feel like it's generally speaking been more immersive in the places I've done it in. But then, group travel is definitely I feel like generally speaking, there's been more laughs, more fun, more camaraderie, and just a different experience. And I think they're both good and bad in certain ways.
No, true. Everything is, like, and even the group travels, like with my friends, I love them. They drive me crazy sometimes, but we definitely still had like a good time and everything like that. Now I look back at it and I laugh at all like the times of just like us like arguing about something. You know, now we just like chuckle at it because it's like, what's the point? Like we at least laugh about it
Yeah.
and stuff. We still outside of like, the annoying parts of it, like it was still like a great trip, we still had a wonderful time,
Hmm. Hmm. Definitely. Um, yeah. So, of all the 32 countries you've been to, what would you rank maybe the as your top three?
Oh, this is a good one. So my family's Croatian and stuff. I think I mentioned that before. So I
Hmm.
immediately and I go back every summer to Croatia. Like I'm actually was looking today. I'm like, when am I gonna go?
Oh, there you go.
Um, but so out of just utter bias, like because I'm gonna pick it as number one, like I'm taking it out of the equation. So
Okay.
um, I feel like I mean, I probably put like okay, Thailand is probably number one. I felt like it was one of the more exotic places I've ever been to and stuff, and you really see like such a different part of the world. Like it was a really like amazing experience. I spent almost like more than like 2 weeks in Thailand, like 2.5 weeks, and it
Hmm.
was such like it was just an interesting place and stuff. It really is like that's another place where I feel like you get a lot of everything. I was in the jungle at one point, I was in the city at one point, I was at the beach at one point. It was just crazy. I was just missing mountains, but I don't know if there's any mountains or anything like that. But it was it was a great experience between like the food, like the people, just everything about it was very. I just have never been to I think a place like that. Like I've basically conquered Europe, I feel like. So like I know a lot about like the European culture and like how that
Hmm.
operates and stuff. So this was a real like time where it was like, wow, this is intense. This is crazy different, from what I'm typically used to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um so I really loved, yeah, obviously Thailand definitely on like number one, probably I would say. I always like which one, like as basic as it sounds, like I always do like England. I don't know why. I think I'm more fascinated by like England culture and like history a little bit. I do find it
Hmm.
very interesting, whether it is like current and like even like learning about like the medieval times and stuff. Like I remember when I was like well, that's not England, but it's part of the UK. But I remember like in Scotland, like learning all about like Mary Queen of Scots, like I don't know, I found it like really intensely interesting, And I don't know, there's something
Hmm.
also about that culture that's like really like I feel like ever since like a kid I've always kind of like grasped to them a little bit and stuff and like so I always find like England, especially like London, like super fascinating. Number three is I feel like I would go. It's like tough because obviously every place I've been to is amazing. And obviously this list could change pending any other countries I go to. But
Oh yeah.
I think number three, I would probably go with Spain.
Okay.
I mean, Spain probably has like some of the best food. Like that's why I remember eating a lot on all those trips and just like because I've been to Spain like I want to say three separate times. Yeah,
Okay.
two or three, no, three times. I don't count the first time as much because I was very hungover and like it was bad. So we're gonna skip the first time because I honestly don't even remember it. But the second and third time were much more rewarding. I was sober and I really got to enjoy more of Spain and everything like that. But even I think what was outside of also the food, I feel like their culture is very It's interesting. It's like kind of like European, but then you get like obviously all like the Middle Eastern, Arabic sort of
Mhm.
vibes because of like I obviously where Spain's position and stuff, and they've been like taken over by like obviously everyone's been taken over by everybody, but you still see a lot of that influence and stuff, and just
Yeah.
everything about it. Like the people are just so friendly and like so down to earth and stuff. And I just like all times that I went, I had such a great time.
Hmm. What part of Spain were you in?
So I did the first time I went to Barcelona, but that Barcelona
Okay.
trip was part of like a spring break that I did between London, Barcelona, and Amsterdam. So Barcelona, I was just not in good shape or whatever. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to go redo Barcelona. Um, but then I did Madrid. I did Madrid, and then we did second time I did Madrid. Third time we did this city called Malaga. It's on the coast. And then when we
Okay.
were there, we actually drove up to Sevilla for a day. So those were kind of like the four places I've been to.
Okay. Cool. What town would you say was your favorite?
I mean, Sevilla was beautiful. Like that place is like amazing. Like that was like a really cool town to see. Like, and that I think really showed like the differences between like a lot of that like Arabic, Middle Eastern touch to it with like that
Mhm.
European at the same time. So I found that I remember it being so hot. Like here I am complaining about the cold, but actually right now I wish I was in Sevilla when it was 100 degrees. But it
Jeez.
was so beautiful to see. Like it was such a beautiful city. Like I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would definitely go back again.
Yeah, is that's pretty close to the Mediterranean, right?
Yeah, it's well, Sevilla's a little bit more inland. It's like I'm trying to describe it. It was 2 hours away from Malaga. It was not that far. So just with a car. So we were able to do it like in a day. We left at like 6 a.m. and then got there like 8:30 and then spent the whole day and then drove back home around like 5, 6 o'clock.
Hmm. Okay.
So
Is that where they do the running of the bulls? No, Pamplona.
no, I don't think that's not some of the running of the bulls.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that's somewhere else on the coast. My cousin went one year and I'm just like, is that
I think
country
it's
that's or
Pamplona.
isn't that like or is it that one Valencia or I forgot the name of it.
I
Or
don't
it was something
know.
with
I'm
a B.
spacing
Yeah.
right
So I think it's that's sometimes yeah, that's I don't know if that's I could be lying and honestly it could be Sevilla.
now. Um, what in Thailand? So you said it was a very different place from where you've normally traveled to. What were some of the things that maybe like shocked you or like really kind of stood out to you while you were there?
Oh my god, Thailand. That was a fun time. I originally went for like like I said, quote unquote work trip where
Mhm.
I was basically like sent there to like live the life of someone at like another agency, like another one of the advertising agencies and within my company. So I lived with a person who worked there and like went to work with him and stuff like that, but also obviously got to see a lot of Bangkok for the most part. Um,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what really like I mean, it was just like I just think like the like that was the second time that I was actually like in Asia. So like but I just remember seeing like because it gives you vibes of like you're almost a little bit like in the future, I felt. Like I even felt that way about like the other country I was prior to was in Hong Kong. I always kind of felt like I was a little bit like in the future. It was really weird. Like, but then like there's obviously still a lot of like the older side of Thailand and stuff, like, so it's like that interesting mix of like you're kind of in the future, but then down the street is like a temple and then all these like outdoor food spots for you to go to, and you don't feel like you're in like a big city at that point. So
Yeah.
it was I mean the food there was amazing. Like I had the best pad thai of my life.
Oh,
Bun
yeah.
Ban Samai, it was amazing. It was literally equivalent to like $3. And you paid an extra like 50 cents to sit inside an air conditioning, which I was like, oh, by all means, I will be in the air conditioner. So I will pay the extra 50 cents.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm guessing, that's fairly close to the equator, isn't it?
Yeah. I think a little bit more south, but yeah, fairly pretty close to it. So it was hot and humid.
Yeah. Okay. That's funny. Any places that you've been to that you wouldn't want to go back to?
I mean, like, it's like I don't have like I'm like scarred by any means. Like I'm the type of person where I'm like I've actually been to like multiple countries multiple times in the same city. Like I've been to London 3 times. To me, each time you go to London, you see something different. Or anytime you go to any other
Mhm.
city, I feel like there's always more to see. So I don't know if
Yeah,
there's
sure.
really a place that I feel like I would never go again. I feel like I've always had like a relative. The only one place I can think of is Slovakia, where I just stayed one day in Bratislava. For those who don't know, Bratislava was that city in Eurotrip where like they had the 62 cents or something and they lived like kings or whatever.
Yeah.
But there was just like nothing to like really see there. I was just more like, let's just add another country to my list. And I was like, why not? You know? So I stayed
Mhm.
for a day. Maybe I had a good meal. I went to bed. I took a bus back home and I was like, I'm done.
Okay. Is there any places that really like catch your eye for traveling to in the near future?
Uh, I mean, whatchamacallit, I feel like 2 places that are really like on my mind, well, like three. I always thought like one of them I was like, I'll save for like a honeymoon. Because I feel like that's where I want it to be or whatever, but we'll see. But I think next really
Where's
on my
that at?
list, oh, South Africa.
South Africa.
We'll do that. We'll say that one because I when I go there, I'm gonna be like, this has to be the best trip of my life. Like we're taking all the honeymoon money and we're gonna make this the best trip of our lives. You know.
What makes you say South Africa?
I don't know. I just feel like that's like really like a once in a lifetime place to me. Like if I had to identify a place that's like once in a lifetime, I feel like I want it to be with someone special and like just a special, any special time in my life. I feel, you know, so that's why I
Mhm.
feel like that is like designated for that.
Okay, interesting.
The other ones that come to mind are, I mean, I'm dying to do Japan. Like that's a
Ooh,
place
nice.
where I feel like if I go, I do feel like I'm like in 50 years in the future or something like
Yeah.
that. So until like COVID gets a hang of stuff, I don't know if Japan's on my list this year. Maybe we could try next year. And then the other one that I've actually have not done a lot of that I would really love to do more of, and you recently went, is Italy. Like I've only
Hmm.
been to Venice. I know, like
Yeah.
it's disappointing, and I'm like I want to do obviously do Rome, Florence, Amalfi. Like I just want to like so I really Italy's definitely like I feel like for at least from a Europe perspective, like that's the next country I really would love to go to.
Okay. Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't get there more when you were in Croatia.
I mean, it would make sense. I mean, like one time, like my mom said, we flew into Venice and then we took a car to the island we're from, and like that's really it. And like I only did like a day trip to Venice from where I'm from in Croatia. Like I did it from our island, which I woke up at like 3 a.m. to spend a whole day in Venice, and I got back like at 10 o'clock at night. The most one of the most
Jeez.
exhausting day trips of my life.
Yeah, I bet.
But I got to go to Italy, so I you shouldn't really be complaining.
Dang, yeah. You definitely have to do more of Italy. Um, I mean, that's one of the places where there's so much history and I feel like so much diversity in terms of art and culture across the country.
Mm.
Um, when I first originally went there, I went to Milan and Cinque Terre, which I'm probably butchering the name,
That's
but
okay.
northern
We'll give you a
Italy.
pass.
Um, uh, but yeah, that was northern Italy, and it was beautiful and everything. Um, and then going back last year to the Tuscany area and Rome, it was incredibly beautiful as well, but it was completely different from northern Italy.
Oh.
And I would imagine that southern Italy, like when you get to Naples and down there,
Mm.
I would assume that's a lot different as well.
Oh.
And so I feel like you could spend months, if not years, just traveling
Honestly,
around
you need
Italy.
a month to do Italy. Seriously, I just quit my job and just go to Italy for a month.
Yeah, there
Hopefully,
you go.
hopefully it's there when I get back, and that's it. Like, take a risk.
Yeah, that's what I
But
would want to do with like the UK. I'd love to just drive around England and Scotland and Wales and Ireland and just all over and just experience the countryside out there.
no, so much things to do, so little time.
Right? Oh man, I know this. Once the more you travel, I feel like the more you want to travel.
The more I travel, the more I realize I want to marry rich, so I could just travel.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what I realized. I love how we're all like, oh, we're learning about ourselves. Like, yeah, you know what I learned? I like to travel and it costs a lot of money. So it's the key here is to marry rich.
Yeah, yeah. What I learned about myself is I need about $10 million and I'll be set.
That's pocket change. Don't worry. Let me just hit up to the. I'll just go to the ATM real quick and just pull that out.
Yeah, there you go. I will say when you and I were getting when we went to the ATM in Colombia, seeing my balance in Colombian pesos, I felt like a king for a minute.
Oh my god, I thought I was gonna make it rain. I was
Yeah.
like, do I just take it all out and just start like, you know?
It said like 20 million something on there. I was like, all right, I'm
Which
living
is
it
the
up here.
equivalent of like $12. And it's like, I
Yeah.
have 10 million Colombian pesos.
Hey, you got to take the little ones, you know.
You gotta take the small victories.
Yeah. Um, any crazy stories you want to share during your travels?
What's some good stories? What's a good one? It's not like necessarily like crazy, but I just feel like it just shows how like obviously we live in this big world and like in the day it's so small. Um, Me and my parents, we went to Greece a few years ago. We actually went. We were on islands for a little bit. On the way back, we were stopping in Athens for a few days. So on our last night, we were trying to find what you call it, a place to eat and stuff. Like I was looking, there was a restaurant like down the street from our hotel, and it had great reviews. Like people said it was amazing. It was actually like it was a very just a very classic like Greek taverna.
Mhm.
Nothing's too special. It's not bougie. Let's just say that. But like you looked at it and you know the food here is gonna be good. You know, like
Mhm.
Yaya's in the back making it, and it's like that's gonna be good. And then I remember taking my parents there, and we got there. We're like, listen, like we have a table for three, and it's like, unfortunately, we're completely booked. You know, it's like, do you want to try to come back tomorrow? And I said, like, oh, unfortunately, like today's our last day here, so we can't come tomorrow. Is there any way you can accommodate us? And the man was like, give me like 1 minute. Walks away for a second, and he comes back. He's like, I can get you a table in the back. I'm like, okay, perfect, thank you. So we sit down. So also one of my travel rules is I never say I'm American when I'm overseas. I'll say I'm Croatian instead. Like I just feel like I've had experiences where I feel like you get taken advantage of if you say you're American.
Oh,
So I will
100%.
sometimes like I'll start to say I'm Croatian, and even I'll even start speaking in broken English to like like to make it seem like it and stuff.
Yeah.
So if I have one piece of travel advice for anybody, lie and get your best accent out as possible. Um, but I remember I didn't use it at the time, but the waiter comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, like where are you guys from?" So I said, "Oh, we're from Croatia. Like we're visiting here and stuff like that." We're talking a little bit. Then the guy goes like, "Okay, where are you really from?" So I just said, I was like, "Okay, we're from New York." And the guy goes like, "Oh, that's funny. Like I used to live in New York." And then it's like, "I actually used to live in this town, this place in Queens called Astoria." And I'm like, "That's funny you mentioned that because that's exactly where we live." Like, he's like, "Oh my God, like that's crazy. Like I used to work at a restaurant on Broadway here. It's like it's not far from where I currently live. And I forgot the name of the place. I want to say it was like Uncle Michael's or something like that. But it was like a 24-hour spot, like a lot, like obviously good for like during the day and stuff. But like it was like your spot to go to after like a night out and stuff. To
Hmm.
which my dad said, like, I remember that place. Like I used to go there after like dinner dances or dinner out with friends, or we went to a bar like that. We would go to this place and have a meal and stuff like that. And he was the head chef there for much of the 90s until the early 2000s. And then
Wow.
he's like whatchamacall, he's like, and then right after that, because we were asking, like, we didn't know what we want to order and stuff. He literally just took our menu. He's like, I'll take care of you. He was like, all right, sounds good. He just started bringing us like literally like a taste of all of Greece. It's like, here's the tzatziki, here's the spicy feta, here's lamb, here's gyro, here's lemon potatoes, patsizio. I was just like, my dad starts like getting worried. He's like, "How are we gonna eat all of this?" And I'm just, I was like to my dad, I was like, "Relax, don't worry, we got this." Like, like this is our last good meal here. Like, we're gonna enjoy it. I mean, just everything he brought out, it was just so good and amazing. And he brought out dessert, and I was just there, was like, wow, like that was the best meal I had on that trip. Like, probably one of the best meals I ever had in my life. Like, just like
Oh,
that's,
wow.
it was just like, and it kind of comes back. How was everything? Literally, like we both are like, I'm like unbuckling my belt, and I'm like, I didn't breathe. Like I can't. Like I'm not gonna go sleep tonight. I have the heartburn already, but it was so worth
Yeah.
it. But it just goes to like after eventually we left and stuff like that. But it just goes to show you, like, isn't that crazy how like we're like 5,000 miles apart from each other, and like that small connection that you could make and stuff. Like it's just like kind of shows you how like crazy like how small the world is and stuff.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's crazy some of the things that come up when you're traveling, some of the people you meet, and you realize just how small the world is. I mean,
It
you know,
is.
even in our trip in Colombia, you know, we met, you know, someone from Australia in Portland and Alaska and everything. And we like, at least with some people, you know, for me, like having traveled to a lot of places now, I'm like, oh yeah, like I totally like the guy from Australia. I was like, I lived in downtown Sydney for a little while, blah blah blah. Like we had a whole conversation about Sydney and realized that, you know, we had been to a lot of the same places, done a lot of the same things, eaten at some of the same restaurants, and I feel like those stories just happen all the time now. And you make the world so much smaller by seeing more of it.
It's true. It's so true. The one thing about even with our Colombia trip, or any trip I've been to, I always run into someone who's Croatian. Like that is like
Yeah.
it just always happens. Like everywhere I go, or like I see something that is Croatian. I'm like, how is this possible right now? I'm like, how are we from like polar, like opposite sides like of the world? And it's like, how the hell do I meet like a Croatian out of nowhere and stuff like that? It's like it's like
Mhm.
so funny at one part, and then the side just like it's like amazing and stuff like that. So it's like that was the one thing I did like in Colombia. Like I didn't meet a single one. I was like, like I'm losing my trend here a little bit because everywhere I've gone, it's like, yep, I've run into somebody, you know.
That's funny. Yeah, it's, you know, where I'm from, my hometown, which is not very big, like 100,000 people. I've met people from my hometown on the other side of the planet,
Crazy.
like in some random country, and it's just like, how in the heck does this happen? I mean, what are
Seriously.
the odds that we're in the same place at the same time, not even close to where we live? You know, it's just crazy, and that's, I think that's one of the beautiful things about travel. It's you make these connections with people all over the world, and I think, you know, in terms of all the crazy stuff that's happening in the world right now, in terms of war and all that stuff, um, you know, I think the people that have traveled to other places, especially, you know, places like, you know, for you and me, like going to Thailand, that's going to be something completely different than from what we're used to. I think those people who have traveled really, you know, are a lot more open-minded and friendly towards other people, other cultures, other ways of life, and just
Oh,
more
100%.
understanding of like, hey, even though we might look at things differently or do things differently or eat, you know, different foods or whatever, like we're just human and we're just trying to, you know, live our lives and be happy.
No, it's true. I feel like especially having like a Croatian background, like okay, I'm born and raised here in the States, like I speak English, my Croatian is okay, it could be better and stuff, but like I know so much about that culture. Like living here, I've been a been seeing both sides of it in the day, even though one's obviously like 4,000 miles away from me. And I do think it does give you a better understanding about like, other cultures and stuff and like others people's like I feel like nuances because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I remember like when I remember started working a lot, people are just so like, I don't know, not like it's funny because people say they're open minded, but then like when they have someone from a different culture kind of approach them, they don't understand their differences a little bit. Like, not to say I
Yeah.
completely understand that person, but I think I'm a little bit more sympathetic or whatever. Like I remember when this girl visited our office, like I would say 5 or 6 years ago, like she's from Romania, and my first thought was like, oh, she's a smoker. Like she definitely smokes like half a day. And then she would always be downstairs like smoking a cigarette all the time. People didn't understand like that was like part of her like culture because even Croatians like, oh my god,
Yeah.
Croatians like I swear half of them are gonna die from lung cancer with how much smoking that they do and stuff. But like that's a part of their culture, or the other thing that
Mm-hmm.
was more interesting with her was like we I feel like as Americans and like we're warmer people, I feel, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I smile all the time. Like it's I've been told I smile too much, but I can't help it because I smile. Like I don't know what you want me to do. But then like, this girl from Romania was just a little bit more colder, but like that's what she's used to. Like her being cold is normal
Mm-hmm.
for her in Romania. That's why when like when she like, was like even though she was like happy or whatever, but she was still look upset. I'm like, that's just her culture at the end of the day, you know? Like, I feel like I was
Yeah.
very understanding. I knew where she was coming from and stuff like that. So to me, it was just like when I looked at her, I was like, ah, you're just like my cousins in Croatia or something like that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally get that. Yeah, I will say in terms of the smiling and like being more open, that is 100% like Americans
Yes.
are completely like that, and it's very easy to spot an American abroad.
Like I don't know, I just smile and like they take it as like flirting. I'm like, I ain't flirting with you. Like I'm just
Yeah.
being myself. Like I ain't interested, you know.
Uh-huh.
But I just like my natural instinct to like smile a bit more. Even just feel like us as Americans are just like smiley.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of like historical like reasons that we've kind of evolved that way as a culture versus some other cultures haven't, like maybe in Romania or other places. But I think it's interesting to see the difference of different cultures and just kind of appreciate it for what it is. Not to judge one another about it, but just say, we as a society just kind of evolved differently than this society, but they're both good and they both work.
True, yeah, they're just in different ways how they kind of get there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, so what was it or what has it been like being being Croatian, you said you have a lot of family back there, right?
Yep.
Okay. So what has that been like kind of having that really strong connection to another place?
It's like another home basically. I feel like when I go there, it's like I just kind of pick up where I left off. Like I go to my usual like grocery store, I go to my usual restaurant, my cafe and stuff.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's almost like a second home. And I feel like it's a good blessing to have, you know. And like we're just
Yeah.
it's ingrained in us. Like a lot of at least I mean a lot of my I have a lot of friends who have like more of like a first generation. So we have like
Mhm.
that background where we have family in other countries. So like we go back a lot, we speak another language and stuff. So like we would spend our summers there, like, we would that's like would be our thing. Like everyone here would go to camp and I'm like, I'm going to Baba and Deadest for the whole summer, like or that's like what they would do.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to like have, and I feel like you get like you get a like a taste of both worlds in the day. You get a little bit of that, you get a little bit of here in America and stuff. So it's something that I feel like I'm very grateful to have, and it's something it's super special to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's great, being able to have, like you said, a second home. And you can claim something different when you're abroad than when
That's
you're here.
true. Oh yeah, 100%. When they'd be like, "Oh, where are you from?" Like, "I am from Croatia," and I start saying it like that, and then like they'll ask me like they'll start like asking questions, and I'll just like put my hand up and like English no speak, and then that's it. Or one time I
Uh,
said I was Croatian because so I learned my lesson bad actually in Thailand where that's where I started all of this. The guy kept talking to me, and I said here, and then I told him, he asked like, "Where am I from?" He's like, I'm like, "I'm from New York." I was like, "Not even just America." I said New York of all places. I'm like, great. Like I should have said like Kentucky. He would have been like, where is that or something. But I said New York, and he just kept talking to me. Then so what he did was his taxi, like he was in a taxi, but he blocked the meter. So I didn't see how much he was charging me.
oh gosh.
Then he proceeds to offer me a special type of massage. He's like he's like, you want a buck massage? And I'm like, excuse me? He's like, what is it? A buck massage? I'm sorry, sir, I don't understand what you're saying. Then he just whips out a pamphlet of naked women and he
Oh
said buck
gosh.
massage. Like, oh, like buck massage. Got it, got it. I was like, no, it's okay. Like, I'm just gonna go to the temple and stuff. Not only does he drive me farther away from it, he
Oh
doesn't
no.
put the meter on, and I'm like, "Where's the meter?" And he goes like, "No." And then I forgot how much he charged me, but it was like a lot more money. He's like, "That's how much it is," and I was like, "That's not fair. Like, this isn't even the right place. The meter's not on." Then we start arguing, and I was like, "Okay, just get me out of here." So I give him money, and then the guy has the audacity to say, "Oh, I don't have change." I was like, "You got to be fucking kidding me right now!" Like, you're gypped. I had to run into like a random store. I'm like, "Do you have change for this?" I just gave him exactly what it was. It was like, "Bye." Slammed the door. But ever since then, I was like, I'm not saying where I'm from. I'm gonna speak very little. Like, let me feel out the person first. But like, this guy totally tipped me off. So then later
Hmm.
that day, I took a tuk tuk instead. The guy's like poaching me and everything like that. I finally
Yeah.
get in, and then that's when he goes like, "Oh, like where are you from?" It's like I was like Croatia, and then he goes like, "Why are you here for?" And I'm like, "Business." And I just start going like, "Sorry, English no good," you know. And then the only thing he said was like, "Oh, Croatia, like Luka Modric, which is like a big Croatian soccer player." And then I just gave like a thumbs up. I was like, "Yeah, like yeah, you know." He took me home, and I was like, "Perfect, we're good. We're in the clear right now."
That's hilarious. uh, I mean, you get crazy stories like that traveling.
Listen,
Um,
you got to do what you got to do to keep yourself safe out there, and
yeah,
it's this lie doesn't hurt anybody.
yeah,
I'm not completely lying. It's like a half
yeah,
lie.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely at least sort of true.
It's sort of true, so I don't feel that bad.
That's funny. What was the tuk tuk experience like? I've never gotten to do one of those yet,
Oh my
and I've
god,
always wanted to.
so much fun. You just want to ride on that all day. I just sat there, like this is nice. Like, but you just like see everything, everything's open and stuff like that. So just like riding that through Bangkok was just like so much fun. I would probably just do that all day if I could. Like, let's just take
Dang.
this all around and stuff. And I don't know, you just feel like you see everything. It makes the experience definitely much more different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Any other like maybe like crazy or exciting stories like that?
After Thailand, I went to Cambodia, and I was just there for a few days, and then I was actually going from Thailand to Cambodia. Then I went back into Thailand for a few days, so it was a little bit weird. So I remember I was just there for like 2 days, and then I remember what you call it. I remember watching like the news that one day that I was there, and they said Angelina Jolie was in town for like a
Oh
movie
wow.
premiere. So she was like in the same city as that I was in, and I was like, that's really cool and stuff like that. She was there for that premiere that night. So then the next day, I'm going heading back to the airport and stuff. And I noticed like three black cars in front of me, three SUVs and stuff like that. And like I'm in a tuk tuk too, and then like they're just going a little bit slower. Obviously, it's like a dirt road, so I don't blame them. But then eventually, I'm like, the guy passes, the tuk tuk passes the three SUVs, and I swear to you, I was like looking through one of the windows and I could see her lips. And I was like, oh my God, we're just passing Angelina Jolie in like Cambodia. Like I saw her lips through like, you didn't see much, but I just saw like big lips like and like glasses too. And I was like, holy shit, that must have been her, right? Or maybe it wasn't. Then I finally get to the airport, board the plane. Then we're on the plane, the captain goes like, oh, we're just delayed momentarily due to a VIP departure. And then I looked to my right, and there's a private jet going off and stuff like that. So I was like, I passed Angelina Jolie, and then she delayed my flight by 5 minutes, but whatever.
Oh wow, that's crazy. I mean, that's one of those crazy coincidences. I mean, what are the odds that you're going to see Angelina Jolie all the way over in some place in Cambodia? That's pretty wild. Uh, so going back to the taxi ride, have you had any other like hair raising experiences, or maybe a little bit sketchy type of experiences when traveling?
Oh my god, I'm like, just like, I mean, we went to. I remember the time. I just feel like in some places where like you I'm trying to think of another sketchy time and stuff like that. I'm like going back in my mind through all the travels and stuff like that, and like thinking what was really sketchy that happened to us and stuff. I mean, I watched my friends not like they didn't get pickpocketed, but basically like a homeless person or like a gypsy or came up to him and like basically asked him for like money, and she gave him like $50, and I was
Oh,
like
jeez.
Willis, I was like, I think it was actually, I'm sorry, it was like 30 or 40 British pounds. And I was like, oh my God, Willis, you just
Oh,
gave this woman like $80. Like, it's like, I
yeah.
did? I was like, yeah. I mean, sketchy. I don't know. Did Brazil have some sketchy moments? I don't know. There were just some times you just felt like I just felt like I think when I was in Brazil, there were just like some moments where I just always felt like, am I gonna get robbed right now? Like, is something bad gonna happen to me? Like, and then obviously everything was okay. It was just like
Mhm.
my mind playing tricks on me and stuff like that. But I remember always being like, we would take Ubers a lot actually in Brazil out of Rio to like towns outside of Rio. And a part of me is like, are we gonna get like robbed somewhere over here? There's like no cell phone service. I don't speak any Portuguese. All I know is like no obrigado, which is like no thank you, and
Yeah.
bon dia, and like that's it. And like, there's just, and then we're just driving in these places that are like completely hidden, and like you're just thinking to yourself, like, where the hell am I right now? Where am I going? And like I would track myself on the Uber, like just to make sure we're going in the right direction and stuff. But like
Yeah.
never, nothing ever like life threatening. I'm literally going in my mind for like every place I've been to, and like not, my life hasn't been that it hasn't been in danger yet. Talk to me in a year, and maybe I'll have another
Yeah.
story for you.
Well, I mean, that's good that you haven't had, many of those experiences. Um,
We
I-
could talk about that time in Colombia where we walked in that club and it was just full of prostitutes. That was pretty
yeah,
sketchy.
and there's people offering us cocaine.
Yeah,
Uh,
like that's oh yeah, that was a lovely evening.
yeah, yeah. I will say, like, at that last one we went to, and then like walking out of there and everything. I mean, it wasn't like, I didn't feel like I was in any danger, but I was just like, this is a place that I don't think we really need to be right now.
Oh my god! I just remember going in there and Eduardo was like telling me, he's like, "This place isn't." He gets the translator out, and it was like, and I just
Yeah,
went, "This place isn't safe." I'm like, "What could not be safe about this place?" And then like three prostitutes are eyeing me down, and I'm
yeah.
like, "Girl, I ain't interested. Like, I don't understand. Like, no." And then afterwards, it all made sense.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like those things do happen. You're gonna see, probably, some things like that they're not used to in your normal life. There's gonna be some hair-raising moments potentially, but I think that's all part of the experience too. And again, I think it makes you a better person, having experienced some of that stuff.
And then you laugh at the end of the day too. Like
Yeah.
now I'll laugh at that. Now that
Oh yeah,
you laugh at
100%.
somebody's like I laugh at my friend giving up 40 British pounds, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I laugh at you now, Willis. I mean, at the moment I was in shock, but afterwards I just laugh.
Definitely. Um, so since you are, such a well experienced traveler, what kind of two or three, main lessons have you learned since you've been traveling, or what maybe two or three tips would you give to listeners?
Tips. Like I always feel like, just as try when you're there, just think about you be like never coming back. Like try to treat it like that, and so you get the most out of your experience. Because
Hmm.
you truly don't know if you'll ever come back. You probably will, like depending if you really liked it and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
but like always try to go in there with the mentality. It's like, listen, even if it's something you feel close by, or even with the places that are the farthest away, definitely have a mentality, because that obviously it's just like it's not like when I went to Thailand, like I'm not just I think I'd probably end up going back like at least one more time or something like that. But like that, I
Hmm.
try to act like, listen, I may never come back here.
Yeah.
It's 24 hours to travel here. Um, and always what you call it, take advantage of that sort of stuff. So just make sure that like um you try to make the most out of it and stuff, because like I said, you never know how, no matter how far away it is, like if you're ever going to come back. um I mean, try to be, if you're ever like nervous about solo traveling, like it's not terrible. It's not a bad thing. Like, don't worry about what people are gonna say. Like, I feel like that's probably one's first thing. Like, oh my gosh, she's traveling by himself, or like he must be X, Y, and Z. I'm like, fuck that. Like, do what you want, be happy. Like, that means traveling on your own. Like, and you like we discussed earlier, you learn more about yourself. You get to
Hmm.
do stuff the way you want to do it, and believe it or not, you will meet other people who are doing the same exact thing as you.
Yeah.
So just don't let that like shy away from that and stuff. If you could get someone, great, but if you can't at the same time either, just do it. Like, it doesn't hurt. It's not gonna hurt you. Um, What else I would say? I mean, like if you're ever, I feel like another tip. I always feel like it's always good, and I feel like my sister-in-law I think taught me this was like, if you guys are ever traveling, and like always like go back to, I always email the hotel beforehand usually, and like I'll like I'll just introduce myself, say why I'm here, and just actually I'll ask for like requests or whatever, like one time like I asked for, can I get a room with a view, and I really didn't pay for one, and they ended up, when I got there, they accommodated me and got me a room with a beautiful view, or I have lied a little bit, like one time I think when we went to Spain with my brother, I lied and said that it's me and my life partner's trip. And then they got us a bottle of champagne in the room. It was really nice.
Exactly.
I did it for my mom too when we went to London. It was true though, like it was her birthday. So I was like, can you get us, like, it's her mom's birthday? And then we got to the room, like they had a little cake for her, it was like this little nice gesture. Over last year I went to Cyprus for my best friend's wedding, and I emailed beforehand. I let them know, like, I'm staying at this hotel for my friend's wedding. I dropped them and everything like that. I didn't pay for an ocean view room. And what did they gave me? They gave me an ocean view room on the top floor. And I woke up every day seeing like the sun. So my one tip is just like always fib a little bit. It doesn't hurt or anything. But like always, at the end of the day, the worst you're ever gonna hear is no. That's the worst answer. So just shoot a shot, ask, and see what happens. And you never know what you might get out of it.
Yeah, that's true. I think that maybe not necessarily lying, but like asking for what you want is good life advice in general.
Yeah, that's it. It's okay. It's all good.
Yeah. Cool. Any last tips, tricks, stories that you want to share?
Huh. I would just say, listen, life's short, people. Just go enjoy it. Like,
Yes.
that's it. Like, that's it. Like, do what you love, and don't worry about what's happening around the world. Don't worry about the bullshit happening in your life. It's all not worth it. And just go and enjoy your life. Life is short. Don't take it for granted. We ain't promised tomorrow. Like, I might not be here tomorrow. I probably will. But that's just trying to say that, like, at the end of the day, you should enjoy your life. We're not here for a long time at the end of the day. So just when you have an opportunity, take advantage of it. You might never know. It could be the best thing you ever do. It could lead to something even more bigger than you ever imagined. So just enjoy your life. Do what you love, and that's it.
Yep. I 100% agree with that. I mean, we talked about that in Colombia, and that that's kind of what ultimately led me to booking the Panama trip last minute. I was like, you know what? Who knows? I could be, dying of cancer right now. I'm already here. Let's just do it.
Yeah, if you're already there, take advantage of it, and that's it. There's so many other people. We all have shit in our lives and stuff, but like, just try to get through it and stuff, and at the end of the day, do what you enjoy.
Yep, 100%. Awesome. Well, Tommy, thanks for taking the time to share some of your experiences. I really enjoyed listening to them, and a lot of your advice there as well.
I hope people are going to use these tips. There's a great tips.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you lie a little bit, you might get some champagne in your room, so you never know.
Listen, and that ain't a bad thing. That is not a bad thing.
Awesome. Well, yeah, Tommy, thanks again. I appreciate you taking the time, and I really hope that I really hope that we can see each other somewhere around the world soon.
I'll have another story for you in about a year.
Oh yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll have to do this again soon after we have had some more travels, and get you back on the podcast.
Sweet.
All right, awesome. Bye, everyone. Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify and Anchor, and now you can also listen on YouTube. Links are in the description below. If you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page and or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my new show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to discuss one specific travel topic, whether that be questions I get from listeners, sharing some souvenirs that I've bought over the years, or discussing one particular city or country that I've been to, and so much more. You'll be able to listen to that via Spotify and Anchor as well, and be able to see the video version, which I'm really excited about, on YouTube. So check it out. I promise you won't be disappointed. And thanks again for listening, and I will see you around the world soon.